All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to talk about the Browns, their expectations for Deshaun Watson going into the 2024 season. So let's get into that. So the general manager for the Browns, Andrew Berry, he made an appearance on the Pat McAfee show recently, and he talked about Watson and how he feels that Watson's going to have a big year. And yeah, so this is what he said. He said, "We feel very good about the transition. He's in a good spot mentally and physically. Obviously, he's been rehabbing the shoulder injury, but he is well on his way there and in a really good spot, or in a really strong spot. I think he's a lot more comfortable within the organization. You know, we have a core group of guys on offense that now played together for a number of years. We do expect to hit the ground running on that side of the ball, and I know he's very excited about returning to the playing field and getting over this injury. We do have high expectations for him and the offense this season, and I think they should, with the playmakers that they have on that side of the ball." He also did say, "I don't think it's uncommon for some transition or acclimation that has to be in the realm of possibility, but we feel good about Deshaun, like the trajectory we have seen, and do think he will have a big year." But yeah, I mean, you look at, the guys that they had. They have Amari Cooper, a veteran guy. It was actually, I saw an Instagram post, and I just can't believe that, that's true. But he's one of the players. This is going to be his 10th year in the NFL. It's crazy. But you got him, David Njoku. He really played well towards the end of last year. I know that was with Joe Flacco, but he's a solid player. They traded for Elijah Moore. You have him. You also have Jerry Jeudy, who they got from Denver, and they signed him to a big contract. And the other thing too is you hope Nick Chubb is another guy that he comes back and plays really well from his injury. Because if you got Nick Chubb, a healthy Nick Chubb, and hopefully a healthy Deshaun Watson. Well, hopefully a healthy Nick Chubb because he's coming off of a significant knee injury. The Browns, they're going to be a good team. And they had one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. But that defense got shredded in the playoff game against the Texans. And oddly enough, that game actually was on, what was it, yesterday? Yesterday or 2 days ago? I think it was yesterday. It was on NFL Network. So I was watching a little bit of that. But yeah, it got shredded in that playoff game. Natty Ron says, "I personally think he is overrated, to be honest. Cleveland should be looking to draft a quarterback for the future or in the future. It's clearly a major problem for that franchise." Yeah, I've said it. It's kind of like with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson wasn't really hurt. It's just his play's kind of declined, not from injury, but it's just declined. Deshaun Watson has dealt with injury. Well, last year he dealt with injuries, but he missed a year because of all the stuff that happened off the field, and yeah, he just really hasn't looked good with the Browns, and like he shows flashes here and there, and you're like, okay, that's the Deshaun Watson from Houston, but the consistency's not there, and maybe it's different. Maybe he, plays better. He stays healthy. The Browns came off of a big win against the Ravens, and Deshaun Watson was a part of that. And then he ended up missing the rest of the year. Natty Ron also says Cleveland will be good. I believe. Won't be surprised to see them steal a wild card. Yeah, like I said, I think that's where they got to aim for the playoffs is the wild card. We haven't played any games yet, but. Because I just think the Ravens and the Bengals are going to be at the top. Cleveland made the playoffs with backup players that they weren't even 100%. Yeah. You look at their backfield. You had technically 5 different starting quarterbacks. Jeff Driscoll started the last game of the regular season. You had him, you had Flacco, you had DTR, PJ Walker, and Deshaun Watson. And that's why Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year. Because despite all that, the Browns still were able to make it to the playoffs. And I think they lost to the runner-up. I think he was the runner-up for Coach of the Year, and D'Amico Ryans. But yeah, I think Kevin Stefanski. I think that was he deserved that. But I think people were saying, look, the Texans weren't supposed to be good, and they made the playoffs. They won the division, won a playoff game, but they went with Kevin Stefanski, which is I don't think that was a bad pick. I think he deserved that. But Yeah, I'm with you. I think that they're a wild card team, but they got to get that consistency at quarterback. If Deshaun Watson, can bounce back here and look more like the Deshaun Watson that was a Pro Bowl quarterback in Houston, then that just elevates the Browns. But if he's going to play more like he did before the injury, where he's throwing interceptions, turning the ball over, I don't really expect the Browns to do too much. At least when you get to if they get to the playoffs. Like I expect them to still win games. Like even with Deshaun Watson not playing well, they still won games. It's just, and like we said, they played with 5 different quarterbacks and they made the playoffs. So, the Browns, I still expect them to be a good team, but got to see how the quarterback is, because he turned the ball over a lot. Turnovers are a problem. And, he's just looking for that consistency. But, coming off of a shoulder injury now, yeah, I don't know. But that trade with the Texans, at least for the Browns side, it looks like a disaster. Because they gave him all that money on top of it. And it just hasn't amounted to anything. Browns are still in the same spot. And, you look at what Baker Mayfield was able to do in Tampa. They won the division. They won a playoff game. Maybe you should have held on to Baker instead. But you can't go back. Cleveland's defense will carry them again. Yeah, I mean, that's... They were carrying them last year, too. With all the quarterback stuff going on. Quarterback changes. So, yeah, you're going to expect that to be the case again this year. So, if the offense, struggles. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's a tough division they play in. It's a tough conference. But I like I've been saying, if Cleveland makes the playoffs, I think it's going to be through the wild card. But maybe Deshaun Watson comes out and he plays really well. And if he does, that's a huge boost for this team. But and he's got the tools around him. He's got a decent wide receiving core, and if Nick Chubb comes back, that's a plus. You got David Njoku. The offensive line is solid. Defense is solid. This team is good. But if the Browns are going to want to go far, and be elevated to new heights, I mean, it's got to come down to Deshaun Watson and his quarterback play. That's really what it's going to come down to. And if not, well, the Browns are going to have to look towards the future and try to maybe get a replacement. But they're not going to do that because they paid him all this money. They got to ride this out. But we got a long way to go. I mean, it's only May, but yeah, it's just that trade they made with the Texans is not looking good for them right now. It's not. But they're kind of stuck. They're stuck with this right now. But like I always say, we'll have to wait and see. So, but let me know what you guys think about Deshaun Watson. What are your expectations for him and the Browns for 2024? Again, they should be a good team. I think they could definitely be a playoff team. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if you had every single team from the AFC North make the playoffs, because we almost had it. So, we'll see. Should the NFL do a conference realignment? I don't really have a strong opinion on that. I mean, what's wrong with what it's like right now? Now, we could see like an expansion in the future because, they have all these international games, and, it's maybe they want to put a team, overseas or something to grow the game. So maybe you do see that at some point, but yeah, I think the way it is fine. I don't think there's anything we really need to change. But like I said, don't really have a strong opinion on it. But I would say they don't need to do that. They don't need to do that. I actually do want to bring up though. So starting next week, there's going to be a little change in the format of the show. I mean, I did bring this up last week, but there's going to be an added segment. So there's going to be 5 segments. Still going to be an hour, but each segment's going to be a little bit shorter. Instead of typically it's supposed to be 15 minutes. Instead, each segment will be 12. So you'll have 5 12-minute segments. So you'll have, so the final part of the show will end up being the 5th segment of the show. But that'll be starting next week. At least for me. I think some of the other hosts, they might start a little bit earlier. They start this week and do that, but I'll start doing that next week as well. As well. So just a minor tweak or minor change, just an added segment. So I just wanted to bring that up. But that's pretty much it for the show for today. Natty Ron said AFC South and NFC East need to be fixed. The AFC South I think is going to be more competitive this year. The Texans with how they've improved the last couple, last year and now up. And what happened to my camera? What happened? All right, I don't know what just happened to my camera, but I think because I hit something. But I think the AFC South is going to be better. The Jaguars are going to try to be better. I think they'll bounce back from the collapse of last year, so you figure they're going to be better. The Colts with a full year of Anthony Richardson. I think they should be competitive. Even the Titans, I know they might not win a lot of games, but they should. I think they could be another competitive team. But I still look at them as being a last place team right now. So, all right, we fixed the camera. Yeah, one thing I got to let you guys know if you're new here is sometimes my camera will just glitch out. And I'll have to switch over to my laptop camera because I'm using a USB camera. So, but yeah, I now with the NFC East, Natty Ron, yeah, I don't know when the Giants did beat the Eagles last year, but it's just the gap between them and Dallas and the Eagles. It's just it's not close right now. They somehow find a way. No matter what Washington does, the Giants always seem to beat them. So, and that's coming from a Giant fan. But I appreciate it, though. First time listening. I like the opinions and the information and opinions. I'm a diehard Bengals fan, just to let you know. Yeah, I kind of figured that when talking about the Bengals to start the show. But, yeah, no, I appreciate it. Make sure, if anybody's new listening to the live stream, my show, at least, is every Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We go for about an hour. Like I said, every Monday through Friday. So make sure to tune in. Appreciate the comments. It's good to have some interaction with, some viewers. Because at times, it's just me talking to myself. And I want that interaction with people. So I appreciate the comments. It makes the show better. It does. Like I say when talking about the link, it makes talking to the viewers makes the show more interactive. That's really what it's all about. So, like I said, if you're new here, show is every Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So make sure to tune in tomorrow because it'll be then as well. And make sure to check out all the other shows as well on the GSMC Sports Network. Basketball, sports, a couple of sports podcasts, baseball, other football podcasts, college football. We got soccer podcasts. We got golf, women's sports. We got it all. Hockey podcast as well, which should be coming out. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. So make sure to tune into all those. You can find them on both YouTube channels, the GSMC Sports Network YouTube channel as well as the GSMC Podcast YouTube channel. So, yeah, make sure to tune into all those shows as well. Give those shows some love. One final thing from Natty Ron. Been a Bengals fan since '86. Who day? I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you commenting. And listen, I'm high on the Bengals this year, so hopefully, they do well for you. But I appreciate you joining the chat. Hopefully, you join tomorrow. Like I said, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. And yeah, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, we'll be back again tomorrow, same time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. And until then, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.